with a slogan, I attract the ire of the occasional online idiot. But I don't have social media, so even I have to be told about that by my brilliant wife, Georgia, who is the real engine behind anything we do. She educates me about empathy and understanding, and she has been a huge educator for me. But I suppose if I'm honest, I'm a little depressed by the fact that acknowledging that everyone has the right to be who they want to be and live their life how they want to live it, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, should merit any kind of special award or special mention, because it's common sense, isn't it? It is human decency. We shouldn't live in a world where that is worth remarking on. However, until we wake up and Kemi Badenoch doesn't exist anymore.
Shameful.
The cheer is way too loud.
Yeah.
I don't wish ill of her, I just wish her to shut up. Whilst we do live in this world.
So Kemi Badenoch, in response to that, said, I will not shut up. I will not. And Kemi Badenoch, by the way, for those that don't know, is a minister for, was the minister. No, she still is technically Minister for Women and Equalities and Secretary of State for Business and Trade. And she says, I will not shut up. I will not be silenced by men who prioritise applause, as Chloe said, from Stonewall over the safety of women and girls. A rich lefty, white male celebrity so blinded by ideology, he can't see the optics of attacking the only black woman in government by calling publicly for my existence to end. She follows, Tenant is one of Labour's celebrity supporters. This is an early example of what life will be like if they win. Well, when they win. Keir Starmer stood by while Rosie Duffield, one of their MPs, was hounded. He and his supporters will do the same with the country. Do not let the bigots and bullies win. Chloe, what were your thoughts on that? Because my initial thoughts were, you know, I'm not sure she needed to actually co-opt the language of the left and play them on their own identity politics game by saying she's the only black person in the cabinet. I'm not sure that's relevant. He's attacking her and trying to shut her up and telling women that they do not have a right to sex-based rights because their new penchant for his non-binary supposedly daughter is more important to him than women's sex-based rights and the protections of those single-sex spaces.
Yeah, I mean, Kemi Badenoch perhaps didn't need to fight fire with fire and engage in name-calling herself, because that looks a little bit hypocritical. But, you know, you can understand why she was upset by this, because she is a woman who is just trying to stand up for people's basic rights and women's safety, and then she gets told that she needs to shut up and that she shouldn't exist anymore, and it's just horrendous. And I was so disappointed when I saw this, because I grew up watching David Tennant on Doctor Who.
Me too.
He was my favourite Doctor, and I respected him so much as an actor, and now seeing this, it just made me so sad. And there's so much hypocrisy in what he's saying, and that he's saying everyone should be able to live their life as they want, unbothered, but then at the same time, you know, it's live your life with as much diversity as you want, but not diversity of opinion. Kemi Badenoch cannot have a different opinion to him, clearly, and that's really disappointing. And also, he said there, be whatever you want and do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else. But the reality is, I mean, you've just shown us a story, Darren, of a transgender woman raping someone. Biological men being allowed into women's spaces is causing harm to some people, and something needs to be done about it.
And are you going to shut up, Chloe?
No, I'm not going to shut up. People can call me transphobic all they want, but I want women to be safe, and that's that. I'm not going to be quiet just because someone wants to call me a name.
I do like Kemi Badenoch, Alex, but I know you agree that maybe she shouldn't have used the identity politics card.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a disturbing trend in the Conservative Party to see them leaning more into this language. This is what happens in politics. They sort of, the left set the stage and they welcome you slowly towards it. I think maybe the mask did slip a little bit on Kemi Badenoch there. His sex and his race have nothing to do with the comments he's made. And in fact, she almost sort of showed herself up a little bit, because he didn't bring into anything her race or her gender. He might have, inadvertently brought her gender in being the only black woman, but she didn't need to play that card. She could have just said, I'm a woman, I won't be shut up, I'm standing up for women. But unfortunately, we're seeing that actually for Tories to try and win these votes, they're sort of pandering to those people. In my opinion, it's either that or she does genuinely hold some of those sentiments. That was disappointing for me. I mean, politicians are always going to be attacked by the celebrities. We've got Gary Lineker, the Nevilles, all those people out there campaigning for the Labour Party as they do. But it's important that her, as she's looking now as quite likely the successor to Rishi, is seen by people like us in the Reform Party or people like me in the Reform Party as somebody that will want to vote for her in the next election and stuff like that. If she carries
just to give a different opinion, AD, who we do like, says she used the woke style of attack. Good for her. Maybe there's merit to that argument. Fight them with their own tools and see how they like it. They don't like it up them, as they used to say during the war.
It's certainly a good point. I mean, you can use their own weapons against them, but then how often do you become attached to them is the problem. If it's a good enough weapon, do you start using it all the time and then you become the same thing you've sworn to destroy? I think that's my only concern with it. But all in all, Kemi Badenoch's absolutely right to call him out, and I absolutely support her. And her and women like J.K. Rowling will fight for actual women, real women, not pretend women, not men who think they're women.
Yeah, and she has been brilliant. I will say Kemi Badenoch has been a breath of fresh air, I think, anyway, within the so-called Conservative government over the past... since she got in 2017, I want to say. But in Saffron Walden is her beautiful constituency. It's a beautiful part of Essex. Essex, is it in Essex? It's not too far away.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. J.K. Rowling commented on the Kemi Badenoch row, and this BBC article in particular, Sunak wades into Badenoch row with actor Tennant, and this account on Twitter called Billy Bragg says, in no other circumstances would the BBC be referring to a privileged white man wishing for a female black leading politician and daughter of immigrants to shut up and not exist as a mere row. And I think that's true. Can you imagine if Diane Abbott had been told to shut up by an actor on a stage? Shut up and not exist. The BBC would not be saying that it's a row between an actor and Diane Abbott. They'd be saying that it's the height of racism and all these other things. And J.K. Rowling says, but the utterances of the gender Taliban receive special dispensation, for they are a holy caste. And that's absolutely true, is it not?
Well, look at the comments made by that Tory donor who said he wanted... Diane Abbott made him hate all black women. That's correct. Yeah, that was all over the news. It was all over racist Tory donor. There's nothing here about David Tennant, the BBC's lefty lovey, is there? It's complete hypocrisy. It's complete hypocrisy.
Yeah, just a row, a mere row. Like you just said, go on, Kemi, grow up, or something like that. You told her not to exist anymore. There can be nothing surely more fundamental to that. But I want to end on some good news. Actually, I've got a couple of bits. I'm going to come back to that. This is what I wanted to show you. I said, because Labour, by the way, are going to make this all 10 times worse, because they are going to make it so that you don't need a sign-off. You currently need to have lived 2 years in the sexual identity that you say that you identify with, and you need a sign-off by 2 medical professionals, doctors, to actually say that you are suffering from gender dysphoria, which, let's not forget, is a mental illness. And then you can go ahead and get a gender recognition certificate that says that you are your perceived gender identity. But I said this. I said this is Labour's idea of fairness, where you have someone like William Thomas, who was ranked 462 in men's swimming, now identifying as Leah Thomas, ranked #1 in women's swimming, looking absolutely, in my opinion, not very different indeed. A bit like one of those people in a female prison who suddenly decides that after abusing women, they're going to self-identify as a woman in order to be put in a female's prison, which is what we had happen in Scotland with the SNP when Adam Bryson, who went under Isla Bryson, was placed into a female prison, and that was start of the downfall of Nicola Sturgeon, and rightfully so. And Humza Yousaf, let's not forget, was Justice Secretary at the time as well. So all of these things, Labour are going to just embellish it all, make it 10 times worse than it already is. And I actually, it breaks my heart for these women who are going to have to suffer this, whether it be in female sport, whether it be those nurses within the NHS, a whole slew of areas in which women can be impacted, children even, changing at school or being told that they're in the wrong, before they get to puberty, they're in the wrong body and all these other things. It's just not good. It really isn't.
Well, I mean, speaking of school, Darren, we've just seen that Labour are planning to, well, they say revise, i.e. chuck out the Conservative Party policies on gender ideology being taught in schools. So it looks like Labour are going to bring it back in, and they'll happily have kids told that you can be a penguin, you can be a fairy, you can be whatever gender that you want, and the kids will be taught that that's true. It's just horrifying. And, you know, the fact that Labour are saying, oh, it's too harsh to make people wait 2 years to be officially legally recognised as whatever gender they want. I mean, come on. I mean, I think it's ridiculous in the first place that you can legally change the gender to something that you're not born with. I mean, Labour making this even softer is quite scary. And, you know, Leah Thomas, I mean, we get told time and time again by these, you know, pro-trans activists, like, no, as long as you change the amount of hormones they're getting, as long as we give them a bit of estrogen, they'll perform exactly the same in the women's category. It will be a completely even field. Look at the results. Leah Thomas would be ranked 462 in the female category as well, if it was the case that it was a fair game. But no, gone from 462 to #1. And we're just going to see more and more of this. Females who have worked for decades trying to become world champion, having their dreams just taken away from them because one bloke who decides to put on a bra and claim that he's a woman gets to waltz up and take the medal away from them.
Yeah. Right, we've been on for an hour and a half now, so I don't want to keep you too much longer because you do have lives to get to. But I wanted to end on this happy note, which is this from the Hollywood Reporter, which say that the HBO, the channel, has announced that it's named this Francesca Gardner as its writer and showrunner and tapped Mark Mylod to direct multiple episodes. Both of them are Emmy winners for the Succession series, which did so well. Succession, I believe, is the one that was modelled on the Murdochs, wasn't it?
It was. Great show. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, brilliant show.
So it should be a good series. And J.K. Rowling has tweeted saying, I'm truly thrilled to announce our director and writer, both of whom I interviewed as part of the production team. Both have a genuine passion for Harry Potter, and having read Francesca's pilot script and heard Mark's vision, I'm certain the TV show will more than live up to expectations. Now, like you wouldn't believe, there will be calls for this show to be boycott, for there to be boycotts of this show, and they will be about as successful as the Harry Potter video game, which came out not too long ago, which was the #1 selling game of, I believe, of the year it was released.
It was, yeah.
And
made billions.
J.K. Rowling laughs all the way to the bank. So these, you know, whilst we might think these ideologues are incredibly vocal, incredibly powerful within their activist ranks and within the sort of doldrums of the Labour Party, these wazzocks that actually embolden and empower these activist classes, they're not all that powerful when it comes to the purchasing power of the actual people. You know, when people are free to choose, they don't choose them. They choose J.K. Rowling. They choose common sense. They choose women's rights. They choose equality in the sense that we valued and believed it to be only 10 years ago. So all is not lost, my friends. All is not lost. We're going to be in for another 5 years of total shite. But apart from that, all is not lost. Final remarks.
Sorry, just last thing to add on the Harry Potter thing, I do slightly have some hesitations. Bearing in mind, J.K. Rowling did put a black Hermione Granger as part of her theatre production. I do have a little hesitation that they might retcon some more of that, because J.K. Rowling, while she's a feminist, she is woke in any other sense. Yeah, so I'll hold my reservations until I've watched the show. But other than that, good news.
We were just ending on such a happy note.
I was trying to
drag it down.
I was raising the troops, morale of the troops, and you've just shat on it.
We've just got to have some reality checks here, guys. Sorry.
But yeah, you're right, Darren, that the fact that so many people bought that game, it just shows that it's just a little angry mob online that shouts the loudest. Just because they make the most noise doesn't mean that they represent most people, and there are many, many more of us than you would think that still have common sense.
Yeah. And Daz says, I wonder if Daniel Radcliffe will be getting a part. Not if J.K. Rowling has anything to do with it, he won't.
Have you got what it takes to be a reasoned presenter? Well, send us a short clip of yourself to join@reasoned.uk, and we might be seeing you on this very channel very soon indeed.